Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of the episode. I am a law student. We are here with Lovanshi, and without any further ado, let's continue from where we left in the last part. So, we were talking about LGBTQ community and I guess let's just continue with that.
Okay, so I was talking about LGBTQ community and somewhere I touched upon LGB, but transgender persons. I really want to talk about them because they are the most marginalized and unsafe members of society who have been socially stigmatized and humiliated for generations. And seldom we realize trauma and agony they undergo. So I was researching for my essay on gender neutral rape laws in India. I came across horrendous personal accounts of trans people. A trans woman said she was raped continuously for 2 years by men in her neighborhood, and nobody took charge of the situation. Police was also no relief to her. Another trans woman recalled going to a doctor after being gang raped. Instead of getting medicine immediately, she encountered one invalidating question from the doctor that, how can you be raped? I mean, this shows the extreme transphobia and complete disregard for the violence meted out to the transgender community in India. In one of the interview I came across, and in that Salma Khan of Mumbai based NGO Kindermart Trust, which supports 5,000 transgender people, said that at least one in four of the people registered with them has been victim of rape, gang rape, or other sexual violence. Sure, I mean, there is a legal remedy for transgender victim under the Transgender Person Act 2019, but it is substantially flawed. And I don't want to go into the details, but definitely want to shed light on one of its provision against sexual abuse. So first, it does not define what type of sexual abuse and doesn't take in consideration the intensity of the crime. And second, the maximum punishment can extend to just 2 years, regardless of the seriousness of crime. Whereas minimum punishment for rape against cisgender women is 7 years. Due to this inadequate support by state, I mean, transgender persons are pushed towards normalizing the sexual violence. And by saying this, I have just touched the tip of the iceberg. And I urge everyone listening to this to read, watch, and know what is happening around you. Educate yourself. And we need to shed our ignorance and come out of this bubble and accept the reality in order to move forward. Yes, it's a long road, but it's not an impossible fight. You know, I mean, I'm not asking anyone to go and or protest aggressively, because it is not a fight that should be fought with anger or shock. It should be fought by first accepting who we really are. I believe in taking small steps. For example, um, when you meet someone, asking their preferred pronouns or putting your preferred pronouns in public, for example on social media, and or just avoid using homophobic slurs even if you don't mean it. I would just like strongly tell people, like, educate your parents, call out people who are being insensitive. These small steps will go a long way.
Alright, so as decided in the previous part of this podcast, we will jump on to the next topic, which is women empowerment.
Right. Women empowerment. I mean, much has been talked about it recently, especially on social media, with fancy words like fake feminism, pseudo feminism. I mean, yes. And I regarding this, I want to share an anecdote with you guys. So last year in 12th standard, I was asked by a teacher to participate in an all India debate competition on women empowerment. My friend was also with me, and we were not allowed to choose which side we should take. We were given that I had to speak against women empowerment, and she has to speak in favor of women empowerment. And I mean, you won't believe how much conflicted I was in my mind, because I didn't believe in that, and I still don't believe in going against women empowerment. But I thought I can't withdraw my name, because there would be situation in future which would be against my morals, and I would have to still face that. And being a law student or a lawyer poses the same challenge, but I think it's our duty to be fair or just and argue to our best of abilities regardless of our personal biases. So yeah, um, my teacher gave me the content, and I could not come to terms with it initially. And I tried tweaking it a little, but stance of the essay cannot be changed, right? And I remember speaking, and I quote, "Women empowerment is a hoax." And random things like, what about men suffering? They die on border, they also face sexual harassment, etc. etc. And in simple terms, I was committing whataboutism, which is a grave problem. And if anybody of you thinking that if I won or not, no, I didn't. That time I was sad about it, but today I feel like it's good I didn't win, because I don't want to carry that opinion and make people believe in that. So this whataboutism doesn't solve problem. It just wastes time and spew hatred. So I read somewhere that it sounds as when someone is fighting for the cause of cancer awareness, and you say and ask, "What about poverty?" This is how ridiculous it sounds when someone is talking about women's rights, and you say, "What about men's right?" Yes, I admit that men face various challenges too, and I did express my opinions in my essay about gender neutral rape laws. And so can you express your concern related to anything, be it body dysphoria, climate change, racism, mental illness, equity, I mean anything, through whatever medium of art you like. But remember one thing, do it without belittling someone else's cause.
As you mentioned, there has been a lot of misconceptions around feminism and fake feminism these days. So why don't you shed light on this issue?
Okay, right. So, feminism or women empowerment is about uplifting women to the same equal rights as men. It's not about being superior than men or bashing men, and that's misandry, by the way. And I don't think I need to speak about the ever increasing rate of sexual offenses against women, or about their um, little participation in politics, or the rate of female feticide. I mean, I don't want to bombard you guys with number of facts and figures, because I am assuming everybody is aware about the grim reality, and everybody knows how unsafe India is for women. And anybody who comes up with the argument that we have women in so and so job which was not possible a decade ago, yeah, I agree to that, and I appreciate that. But you just think about it, how many such women are there at that position? Very few, right? So the point is, we need empowerment for those 90% of women who are not able to even secure education. Empowering them is a major goal. And there's also huge misconception about urban women being all empowered and privileged, so we don't need to advocate for their rights. No, every independent women is still, expected to take care of household before going to work, to be responsible for their children, and we know how men are always expected to be the sole breadwinner of a family. Equal pay to both men and women is a far cry in India, and it would be sin to say that, to speak about stay home dads too. And if you think financially secured, well educated women is empowered, and that is what feminism is all about, then you might be wrong, my friend. Because see, I will take you to the instance of youngest Congress women, Alexandria Cortez. Despite being at such a powerful position, she did face sexist comments by her representative. And all that, my point being, there is no measure of empowerment, or whether we have achieved or not. It is about women being themselves, free from patriarchy, violence, and discrimination, or being respected wherever they go, or unleashing their untapped potential by creating just, secure, and a safe environment for them, which I believe has a long way to go. And with that being said, I can't stop without highlighting one more thing about women in rural settings of India. So I read this book called Dalit Women Speak Out. It is the extensive survey of 500 Dalit women who dared to speak about caste, class, gender violence, and the trauma they faced daily. It's actually very insightful book which shows us the reality from grassroots level and based on the narrations of women itself. Why I suddenly brought this up is because Dalit women are the ones who sometimes become invisible when we talk about empowerment, and but actually they are the ones who bear the brunt of caste, class, and gender hierarchies. So anybody who comes up with the idea that we don't need women empowerment, please read about intersectionality before that.
Our next topic would be climate change.
Oh, all right. Okay, so climate change. Hmm. We know environmental crisis is affecting the planet tremendously. And this is one of the things which human cannot prevent, but only control to the largest extent. And even if we would be able to do that, it would bring huge change. You know, rising temperatures to loss of biodiversity, increasing pollution to impending population, displacement, smoggy skies to submerging coastlines, and these effects. The effects of all these things are devastating across the globe. And also this one thing, air becoming increasingly unbreathable. I mean, when I was on campus last year in winters, we were not able to see the other person just standing beside us, and we wore masks then. And yeah, so I mean, it is becoming, climate change is real, and countries are taking measures in avoiding grave consequences of climate change. But if we talk about India, um, I think instead of progressing, it is taking two step backwards. Like introducing highly flawed EIC draft is one such example. And we witnessed in this short period of lockdown some very detrimental natural disasters, whether it be Cyclone Amphan in Bengal, Cyclone Nisarg in Maharashtra, floods in Assam and Bihar, which I mean, they created havoc for human lives and resources. Economy took a dip in already distressed period of pandemic. The impact was worse than ever. Just a few days ago, we saw immense waterlogging in cities due to heavy monsoon. You know, monsoon from past few seasons has been arriving late, and when it arrives, there's a heavy downpour in little time. This is fairly due to the climate change, and climate change, I mean, I would say again, it is real. So the impact was worse because of poor urban planning, especially in Gurgaon. There was this one picture which went viral of one car being totally submerged, or women, the people are literally swimming in their homes because everything is flooded. It's because of poor urban planning and explosive population growth, which triggered the real estate and resulted in less areas for rainwater to seep in, and then we know depleting the groundwater too. And this is a continuous change. So, what I think is that the fault lies in our actions. We stopped at nothing in exploiting natural resources. I mean, we know, right, that how our selfish actions come as a boomerang to us. And this we all started, everything I said, with this we all started in an environmental studies subject in third standard. And you might be thinking that why did I give a huge bookish lecture, and which you have might already, read about in books and articles, and I mean everything everywhere you have been listening to this. But I somewhere I believe even today people choose to ignore it. So what I believe is even today people choose to ignore it, maybe because of their privilege.
That's that's very disheartening to know about this havoc created by climate change. Um would you like to suggest some viable solutions?
Yeah, I mean, this has been reiterated many times, and I believe that sustainable development is an urgent and undeniable need today. This is high time we accept it. Our future depends on striking a balance between human development and environmental conservation, which is undoubtedly a big task in hand, but not impossible to achieve. I mean, authorities need to focus on sustainable policies making, and greater level of focus on environment education and research centers or innovation. I mean, there are so many things government can do, and I really, feel that government has the power to control climate change to some extent. And not to brag, but I'm really happy that my university has come up with 3-year undergrad degree in environment and sustainability, which is one of its first kind in India. And I hope other institutions in India also open such avenues for students. And right. So I talked about how authorities can change. Now I really want to talk that how an individual, a person can make a change, or really follow a sustainable lifestyle. So recently I followed some people on Instagram living simple low waste life, and you would be surprised to notice that there are some plethora of eco-friendly and cost-effective substitutes available in the market, which mostly we are unaware of. For example, a wooden comb, or a wooden toothbrush instead of plastic ones. I mean, replacing your plastic bottle of shampoo with shampoo bars, or using cruelty-free cosmetic products, or even switching to menstrual cups. And by the way, I have myself ordered one, because when I realized that the ton of waste pads generate is unbelievable. Menstrual cups and cloth pads are very sustainable option. I mean, go for slow sustainable fashion. Okay, so my point here is that it is possible to bring substantial change at an individual level too, and creating awareness about it is the first step. So, again, I would urge everyone to pay some heed to sustainable living.
So the next and the last topic would be mental health.
Okay, yeah, I mean, very important topic. Yeah, so before speaking anything on this, I would repeat that these will be some of my objective opinion, and at the outset only, I apologize if I unintentionally triggered or hurt anyone's feelings, right? Okay, so I studied psychology in 11th and 12th standard, which kind of gave me basic fundamental idea about mental health and to certain extent human behavior too. And I really enjoyed studying that subject. I wish that was part of my school, law school too, but anyway. Yeah, so my grandmother, who is no longer alive, and my father went through mental illnesses, and they dealt with some of the mental illnesses. But both the cases were very different. My grandmother had severe depression and elements of somatoform disorder, in which individual has a psychological difficulties, and they complain about physical symptoms for which there's no biological cause. She had mild dementia too. Physically, she was the fittest of her age group, and her diet was very healthy. And my father, my father had severe anxiety issues, which was purely because of a physical accident that took place during his work. And my grandmother was taking psychiatric help, and she was on medications. My father also consulted the same doctor during that period. My grandmother's reason of death is largely unknown, but we think it was due to extreme dip in oxygen level as the pulse rate was low. But again, um, we couldn't identify the exact reason. And yes, it was okay. Yeah, it was not due to depression, but because the previous day she felt fine. And somewhere I believe that she died peacefully, because my mom told me that there was slight smile on her face, and there was not apparent signs of resistance. I was in 11th standard, I guess, at that point. And yeah, on the other hand, my father came out of the situation quite courageously. He took medications on time, and there were low times as well, but everything went well after 6 months. So, I'm sharing this extremely personal incidents because I want the listeners to see me as a credible person to speak about this issue, as I have closely witnessed my family members going through this. And I genuinely believe professional help is extremely important, and any mental health can be cured by little motivation from your side and support from your friends and family. And this goes without saying that nowadays, amidst a pandemic, this issue is massively important to address by everyone.
Oh yeah, you have also mentioned about how lockdown has been harsh to you. I would love to know how you cope up with that.
Oh, right. Okay. So this is gonna be in detail, right? I would tell you what happened, how everything happened. So, okay, this whole lockdown situation was wrecking emotional roller coaster ride for me. I mean, seriously, because before the lockdown, this year started on a good note. I went to Rajasthan for holidays, then went to campus with new enthusiasm, as this was second semester. By then, I was, mostly accustomed to this schedule there. So everything worked really well. University kept us occupied by somewhere or the other, so you barely feel the need for family or your home. But then, at that point, this whole pandemic came and turned everyone's world upside down. I mean, I have never been this clueless, lost, free ever. And I think most of us were sailing in the same boat. Initially, I took this lockdown as a vacation and did eat, sleep, Netflix, and repeat. Literally, this for like 1.5 and 2 months. I mean, I did that. But slowly, this vacation became nightmare to me when the whole idea of being unproductivity or being unproductive hit me. I felt miserable being unproductive despite all those, social media posts that it's okay to be unproductive in this harsh times. But still, somewhere my mind was not ready to believe, and this situation got worse when I saw some people dealing with it efficiently and, you know, trying, learning new skills, opening new online ventures. In nutshell, they were being productive. As usual, my sleep cycle was screwed up, and this feeling of unworthiness hit me badly. It was like a chain reaction to all negative feelings, and insecurity, self doubt, um, dejection, and inferiority complex all creeped in. And I must tell you, this podcast was supposed to be released 2 months ago, but I refused to record at that time, and because I was not in the, say, in that mental state to be able to speak about it. And yeah, Ashutosh has been great sport in understanding the gravity of the situation. I feel that whatever I went through, most people might have felt it at certain point in this lockdown. And so at that time there was bad mental health, not able to do anything, and hating myself. So what did I do to make things better, and what could I do to make things better? I, actually, I took my time. Seriously, I mean, no matter how long it takes, small achievements are still achievements. We usually say this thing that if you are going through anything, you should talk about it. I guess it's easier said than done, because not everyone feels to talk about and open up, especially a person like me who dreads talking about personal stuff. And I take a lot of time, faith, and courage to open up even among my friends. I'm kind of person who seems calm, composed, sorted at surface level, but inside, hell lot of emotions are going. So it makes difficult for people around me to recognize the issue going on with me. I think I have never said this thing. I think this podcast would be something that would come to them as a revelation. So yeah, and coming back to the topic, option of talking things out and solving was totally crossed for me. Then I slowly started engaging myself in even insignificant activities, such as I would organize the boxes in kitchen shelf, or ask my mother to teach me differentiate between pulses. By the way, this is a great achievement, guys, for me, because I know I didn't know what pulses, whatever the color or whatever. I don't know, but yeah, I'm proud of myself. Tap tap for that. And though I have forgotten that now, but still. And I have, I even learned cooking, not only making pizzas or pastas for the sake of it, but the real domestic cooking for dinner, which, knowing me, I feel was never possible. And I did whatever work which came across me, right? I mopped the floor, um, arranged my bed, soaked the clothes, etc., etc. Somehow I was trying to distract myself of thinking anything negative. At the end of the day, I would feel little better that, oh, I at least helped my mother. So like that, days passed, and I came to realize the fact that what is productivity? Nobody know how to measure it, right? And Why should I compare myself with some other standard or some other person? I started doing things which gave me happiness and were, give me less panic. And for example, I painted, I baked, I even learned bit of embroidery. And oh, by the way, I did work out too. And or sometimes I would sit among my plants on terrace. They are lovely, by the way, and it's actually my abode of peace. So I forgot to mention, due to all this, I dropped my two internships as well. So carried on with the, and I just did one internship that was less stressful. These things happened. But eventually I talked to myself that it's okay you didn't complete the books you were thinking to read. It's okay you don't wake up early or wake up in the afternoon. I mean, it's okay you did not take up the pending academic work you were supposed to do. And I mean, it's okay you did not write anything. It's okay to be like this. The most important thing is that you survived this bloody pandemic and you're still trying to. So I would tell these things to myself. And I would say the biggest thing I learned in this pandemic is accepting myself. I mean, accepting the real me of who I am, and knowing that everybody is moving on different pace in their life and they're battling their own demons. So I need not to unnecessarily compare myself or feel bad about it, because at the end of the day, you are your biggest companion.
Well, those are some great insights, and these topics definitely needed to be discussed as they are of paramount importance for the future generations and us. So, ending the episode with the last question. What are your future plans as a lawyer, or where do you see yourself 10 years down the lane?
Okay, that's the most dreadful question. Okay, so see, I am in my second year of BA 5-year integrated course. So I'm still studying mostly BA subjects with few legal ones. And so, right, I'm not exposed to a whole range of core legal subjects. I can't jump to decisions, Some might, but for me, it is to explore and know where my interest lies, which is only possible in higher college year. And then I would definitely tell you. For now, my prime focus would be to get through these 5 years, and trying everything I can. And with that being said, also enjoying the journey.
Wow, what a wonderful episode with a wonderful person. I think that would be all for today. And this has been a great talk. Thank you, Lovanshi, for being on the podcast. And thank you guys for listening. This was the episode I am a law student on the podcast Edge of Teenage. Don't worry, guys, I'll be back again with a new guest next week. Till then, follow this podcast if you haven't already, and do visit my Instagram and LinkedIn profile for latest updates. Signing out, Ashutosh.